Friends and family of the internet, welcome back to Starkey Farmstead. So, as promised, let's jump into the food stamp situation. We're going to discuss in depth how many people actually get food stamps, how many United States citizens versus illegal aliens get food stamps. We're going to talk about how this is going to affect the elderly, the disabled, and the children. But we're also going to talk about those people who sell their food stamps for 50 cents on the dollar for cash. We really are going to get into it. I hope you stay around. It's going to be a little different how everybody else is doing it, just showing you rage bait of people being ignorant on TikTok. We're actually going to get into the demographics. We're going to talk about how this is going to affect Americans and how people are really feeling about this. So I asked you guys last night to kind of give me your feedback on this. And the sense that I got is that, yes, people want to help those who don't have enough. We do not want to see the elderly, the disabled, or the children go hungry. But we also all agree on one thing. This is America, and we've not had people starving here in 60 plus years. In fact, we have an obesity problem. So there are several states that are stepping in to provide funding for SNAP benefits during the federal government shutdown. As of now, states like Virginia, Louisiana, California, New York, and others have announced plans to continue the programs and fund SNAP through state dollars. It's easy to find out what your state's going to do. You can reach out to your local SNAP office, or you can just check it on the internet, Google it. The number of non-citizens receiving SNAP, which is Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, benefits often referred to as food stamps, is a topic everybody is discussing. In the fiscal year of 2023, because that's the last year they have all their updated information on, 1.7 million non-citizens received SNAPs, costing the American taxpayer $5.7 billion a year. That now, this is what they try to do when you ask it. They go, well, this figure represents a very small fraction, right? Just a few. In fact, they go on and say that, non-citizens consume fewer welfare dollars than actual American US born citizens. So they say that non-citizens consume $310 per non-citizen compared to $435 for native citizens. This is what's frustrating to us that can see the elephant in the room. Why are non-citizens consuming any of our tax dollar supported programs? They didn't pay taxes. It's important to note that undocumented immigrants are generally ineligible for SNAP. There's a kicker, though. The Democrats love to say that. Now, I am not staunchly Republican, and I've said that on my channel. I vote for whomever aligns more clearly with my values. Normally, that is a Republican, but here lately, I'm not so sure anymore. And I'm sure some of you feel the same way. So they say that 89.4% of SNAP recipients are US born, leaving 11% not. But here's what they don't tell you. So I asked ChatGTP, I said, well, how many states require proof of citizenship to receive SNAP? Because here's that little thing they hide from you. If you are not a US citizen, you are not supposed to receive welfare benefits. Well, what if you don't check? So 29 states out of 50 require actual proof. Friends, that leaves how many not requiring proof? And when they say, they're requiring proof, they want a birth certificate, a social security, or documentation of your immigration for eligible non-citizens. States that have very tough citizenship requirements: Arizona, Florida, Indiana, Iowa, Mississippi, South Dakota, and Texas. Congratulations, guys. Now, I said, well, which states require no proof of citizenship to receive SNAP or other welfare benefits? And it says currently several states do not require any proof for these programs. So you can walk in off the street not speaking English, and they're going to set you up with the whole kit and caboodle, friends. And those states that never require proof of citizenship, you guys already know. Say it with me: California, New York, Illinois, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Oregon, and Washington. In fact, California provides access to benefits for non-citizens, including undocumented immigrants. New York extends benefits to eligible non-citizens, often using state funds to make up the difference. And Illinois has policies supporting access for low-income non-citizen families. So illegal immigrants that broke into your country are being propped up with your very hard-earned tax dollars. So then I said, well, hold on. If they are not specifically checking to make sure someone applying for SNAP is a citizen of the U.S., then wouldn't the percentage of recipients of SNAP be higher for non-citizens than what you're actually telling me? And it goes, well, the relationship, between SNAP recipients and immigrant statuses can be complex. No, it's not that complex, right? While individuals argue that the lack of stringent checks may lead to a higher participation rate among non-citizens, the data says otherwise. Really? Okay. All right. If you want to go there with that. And then I said, well, hold on. The Biden administration paroled millions of non-citizens into the U.S. Are they all eligible for SNAP and welfare? And it says the eligibility, including for non-citizens that were paroled under the Biden administration, benefits. Humanitarian parolees, which were the majority of them, are eligible for SNAP. Yeah, I just thought you guys would like to hear the facts before we start this. So you are going to hear mainly from U.S. citizens complaining, but there's, a stink here, guys. This program has been abused for a long time. What was the purpose of the food stamp program? To keep American citizens from starving. Most of us listening to the sound of my voice right now, your ancestors came here for a better life. But when they arrived on the shores, there was no welfare systems. That's where people just kind of, you're applying today's standards to old immigrants, and it doesn't work. When my ancestors came, there was no food stamps. There was no medical care. There was no housing assistance. There was none of that. It was make it or starve. It's not so anymore. So I'm so glad you guys are here for this conversation. As I pull up the information, a lot of you enjoyed our Bible study we did yesterday. If you'd like more content like that and to receive our monthly newsletter, look at the top of comments. Make sure with whatever you donate that you add your email. I'll get you signed up. Thank God we are remonetized. My husband is working part-time after surgery. But it's going to be a long road, folks. So here's what it says right now. Everybody I show, every article that I read from, it will be in the description of the video, so you can go watch or read for yourself the entirety of these articles and these videos.
42 million people in this country that need food stamps on a weekly basis. And we're saying people deliberately instead of Americans, because most of the people that are on food stamps aren't even from this country. 45% of Afghanistan immigrants are on food stamps, 42% of Somali immigrants, 34% of every immigrant from Iraq, 23% of Haitians, 59% of all illegal aliens are collecting food stamps, meaning that most of the people getting food stamps from the U.S. government and the U.S. taxpayer are not even Americans. Think about that. And we didn't know about any of this before the government shutdown started. But thanks to Democrats, we can confirm tonight that millions of Joe Biden illegal aliens, people who crossed the border when Joe was president, are now collecting food stamps from a program funded by hardworking American taxpayers. There are 42 million people.
So yes, you heard that right. If you haven't seen that clip already, I've played it before here on my channel. But I don't know, that's pretty outrageous to me. But guys, that's not just the worst part, because we've got to get into, all these rumors that Walmart is closing because people are saying that they're going to rob Walmart. They're going to go in, get their groceries. They're going to fill up their carts and their buggies, and no one's going to stop them. A lot of people.
Okay. So what she said is true. There are those rumors. We are going to address them. Don't go anywhere. Please make sure hit the like button, subscribe. We're just a few people off 110,000. Let's go. Let's do it, guys. So map shows states paying most and least for SNAP under Trump bill. So this is something a lot of people are not talking about. This is kind of new. I just heard this. So it says, under current federal rules, SNAP benefits, which help 42 million people, not Americans, across the country, are paid by federal governments. The federal government pays it, right? It's paid to the states, and then the state administers it. All states pay half of the cost of the administering. In other words, half of the cost to pay the person working behind the counter, right? For the building, for the little plastic cards. They have to pay for that. But the money for the food, the stamp itself, comes from the federal government. So under Trump, with the one big beautiful bill, it is set to change things beginning in 2028. The bill will require states to cover a portion of the SNAP benefit of the food stamp if error payments are above 6%. In other words, if you have an error, like you're paying double food stamps for someone, or you're having a lot of theft of food stamps and you're having to replace those, or you have a lot of non-citizens on the food stamp roll, you're going to have to start paying for a portion out of state money for the benefit itself. This will be the first time that states have had to shoulder the responsibility of paying SNAP benefits. So, of course, as soon as they realize that Trump is no idiot, and he is done with these states being flexible on who gets this federal money, because that's where people don't understand. SNAP is not a state benefit. It is a federalized program. And too many non-citizens are slipping through the cracks in states like California, New York, Illinois, Michigan. The American citizens have had enough. So now, you've got poverty experts and advocacy groups all crying about how this is going to cost the state so much money. Well, it's costing federal taxpayers so much money. At some point, we have to hold our politicians accountable, and the big, beautiful bill most definitely does that. All right, now this is interesting. They're trying to fact check what the young lady just showed us, right? It says, with millions of people in the U.S., they got it right. They didn't say citizens, people in the U.S. at risk of losing access to the federal, again, because it comes from federal dollars, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, better known as SNAP, EBT, food stamps. From November 1st, a viral chart has claimed to show the majority of the nation's food stamp recipients are non-white, non-citizens. This is the problem they have with it. The chart, titled Food Stamps by Ethnicity, listed 36 groups of people, and it said it showed the percentage of U.S. households receiving SNAP benefits. Now, the groups were labeled by nationality: Afghan, Somali, Iraqi, along with racial groups: white, black, and native. The chart appeared to show that Afghan people were the largest group receiving SNAP benefits at 45.6%. Somalis at 42.4, Iraqis at 34.8. White people represented on the chart with the US flag were third to last at 8.6%. The federal government shutdown, which started on October 1st, 2025, is the cause of the looming SNAP funding lapse. SNAP provides food purchasing benefits to low-income households. We all know that. Now, conservatives have peddled the misleading narrative that Democrats are pushing for health care for undocumented migrants, and people commenting on the chart rehashed a similar talking point. Who is getting their EBT cut? Read the caption of the October 28 X post, which had 3.1 million views. Only 18.7% of EPT or food stamp recipients are Americans. Let that sink in. We are subsidizing foreigners on taxpayer dime. So it goes on, see it? All the different people, Guatemalans, Ethiopians, Jamaicans, Palestinians, Salvadorians. It's crazy. Look at this. Look at this, you guys. Native Americans. I'm trying to pull it up for y'all on the actual post it was posted on. Here it is. All right. So it says Indians 4.4, Italian 7.6, white 8.6, Chinese 9.6, Filipino, Nigerian, Israeli 11.11, Colombian, Peruvian, and it just goes up. Right? Now, let me show you what the article's trying to say. But the chart doesn't show the full picture. They always say that of race or ethnicity. All right. So according to the most recent USDA data, which I told y'all is 2023, white people are the largest group receiving SNAP at 35.4%. We are also 68% of the entirety of the population in the United States. They don't tell you that either. African Americans are next, making up 25.7%, and they are one of the lowest demographics in America at only 13%, barely 13% of the population. Then Hispanic people at 15.6%, Asian people at 3.9%, Native Americans at 1.3%, and multiracial people at 1%. The race of 17% of participants is unknown. I doubt that. The same report found that 89.4% of SNAP recipients were U.S.-born citizens. Why is that? You guys tell me. Why is it saying U.S.-born? Because of birthright citizenship. Don't let them twist their words. Don't let them twist it. The truth is the truth. Now, let me just show you what CNN, how they twist this. Listen up.
Just on the waste, fraud, and abuse point, over the last 15 years, SNAP fraud has fallen from 4% to 1%. So there's already very little fraud in the SNAP program, according to the government.
$180 billion is a lot more.
Dude, the Pentagon hasn't passed a single
regardless
audit.
Regardless of that, I mean, people who are on the program right now are going to not have benefits. I think it's interesting because the Trump administration says, you know, there's $6 billion in the emergency fund. $8 billion is needed to cover the month of November. They're saying that they can't use that money because that money needs to be set aside for, you know, hurricanes and other emergencies. But they've been willing to move money around for all kinds
for our
of
troops,
other
Abby, for aviation safety.
All kinds of other, they've been willing to move money around for all kinds of other reasons. The question is, why not this one? Tara, let me let Tara have a moment.
We have to.
So good question, folks. Why are they not using the emergency fund? Let's get into that.
This week, when millions of people are going to have to resort to possibly stealing in order to feed themselves and their families, and the government complains, because they will complain about the crime rate going up, even though they're the ones who fucking did it. Make sure you point your anger at the system and the people at the top, because they're the ones who took the food away from families and poor people and starving children. The poor people just want to eat.
Show me a starving child in America, and I'm going to show you abusive parents.
They just want to survive like the rest of us. They just want to keep living like the rest of us.
No, she really thought that she did something there with that video. Now, moving on, others were saying that this was all part of Trump's plan. He wanted SNAP to go away because he wants the crime rate to increase so that he could pin all of this violence on low-income Americans, on the Black American community, because he's a racist, and then he's going to send in the National Guard, and everyone is going to be victim. Like, that is literally what they are saying. Now, again, I would ask, did you forget that it is the Democrats who are keeping everything shut down? They are the ones who have made this happen. It is the Democrats. And to be fair, I wouldn't be surprised if they hoped that we started to see cities burn in mostly peaceful protests so that they could turn it around on Trump and blame him for civil unrest like they always do. I could see that being part of a plan. I mean, they're already blaming him, and he literally has no power in the situation. For example, Pocahontas Warren, she tweeted this, and she said, for the first time in modern history, Donald Trump is shutting down SNAP. That means that 42 million Americans will miss out on food assistance funds starting on November 1st. Donald Trump is choosing to let mamas and their babies go hungry. So obviously, Pocahontas is using emotional manipulation here, but the Senate Republicans were quick to call out the blatant lies that she is spreading. They said completely false. The president cannot use emergency funds for SNAP, and Senator Warren has voted against SNAP funding 12 times in the last month. Instead of blaming the president, that's an impossible challenge, Senator Warren should do her job and vote for our bipartisan bill that fully funds SNAP. Like, I'm sorry, but MAGA and Trump, they're not doing this to you. I don't know how many times I can say that about different situations. Like, Trump is not lurking in a corner doing this to all of Americans. Like the spending bill or not, think that it's overspending, like what's in it, whatever. Republicans want it passed. They want the government to be back open. They want people to be able to have their SNAP benefits, but they are also not going to cave to these insane people who are lying about them at every turn. The same people who mocked Charlie Kirk getting shot, the same people who happily call for our murder and our death, like, they are not going to cave to that, and they shouldn't. I mean, even the USDA website is making sure that the record is straight. If you go online to look up anything about SNAP, anything like that, this is the first thing you see. Senate Democrats have now voted 12 times to not fund the food stamp program, also known as the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Bottom line, the well has run dry. At this time, there will be no benefits issued November 1st. We are approaching an inflection point for Senate Democrats. They can continue to hold out for health care for illegal aliens and gender mutilation procedures, or reopen the government so that mothers, babies, and the most vulnerable among us can receive critical nutrition assistance. Yeah, well, specifically, I think the Democrats want the illegal aliens to be able to get their gender mutilation surgery and then go home and recover while having a large bottle of pop that they buy with their EBT cards. That is the...
You can't argue with that. And it's drawing lines in the sand right now. And I'm going to show you both. I'm going to show you how people seem to think that the color of their skin gives them an out, that they can get on social media and threaten other people of different colored skin, that they're going to come rob you, steal your wallet, steal your food, because their SNAP benefits didn't get filled. But then I'm also going to show you this woman who points out that this is what the media wants you to think about Black people, and specific Black people are cashing in on this ignorant portrayal of Black people. Look, y'all, I live in a Black community. A lot of the people I know, both Black and white, because I live in the poorest parish, which is like a county for you, in the state of Louisiana. People be poor here, all right? I actually accept SNAP benefits on my farmstead so that people can get organic fruits and vegetables locally. We only have one tiny grocery store. It's nasty. You know what I'm saying? So you got to do what you got to do out here. It is what they call a food desert. So I understand this way better than most people who are reporting on it, because I actually receive, I am a place that you can bring your food stamp card and purchase food to eat. So I understand how the money works a little bit better and in what areas. Where I live, it is not uncommon for people to sell what they call a book of food stamps, right? So they'll be like, hey, I have a book of food stamps. That is $45, right? It is $45 you give them, and you can spend $90 on their food stamp card. Happens all the time. All the time. And we're going to get into that further too. But listen to this. This is absolutely insanity.
Contradicts herself beautifully in here. She's at the beginning of the video, she's like, we don't need the EBT money. We never needed your handouts. And then she's like, but if you take this EBT money away from us, we're going to eat you. So it's like, okay, whoa, easy. Crazy chimp out incoming, but take a listen to this.
I just wanted to come real fast just to make this video, just to make something very, very clear to the white man. Black Americans do not care about your government shutdown, and Black Americans do not care about you taking away our EBT and our government assistance, because Black Americans never depended on the American government to take care of us and feed us, because we never could. We were never able to depend on the government, in spite of what you may say and what you may try to force us to believe. So you can sit back and you can mock, you can laugh, and you can think that you're about to starve us to death. But I'm here to let you know that we are going to eat regardless, even if we have to hunt you animals down and roast and eat you. The delectable crackers and cheese. We will make it happen if we have to. Trust and believe me. And if it takes this government shutdown for Black people to finally come from under the government and understand that we don't need to be paying our taxes into this government, what we really need to be doing is taking care of one another, buying land and growing our own food and building our own nation. If this government shutdown and starvation is what it's going to take, then let the party begin. It's Black power, baby, and we rise.
Okay, is the sanity in the room with us? Blacks don't need the government handouts. But if you guys and your government shutdown takes away the EBTs, we'll all starve to death. Okay? And
That's the insanity, because I grow food for a living. It's not as easy as people think it is. I grow a 1/4 acre market garden, 1/4 acre. And in the heat of South Louisiana, when it's really producing, which is the heat of the summer here, it's 4 to 6 hours a day in that garden by myself, a 1/4 acre of food. So I'd like to see her. She's been on food stamps this long, chances are she doesn't have a real good work ethic. I'm just saying. Look, folks, I went from receiving food stamps to being a food stamp retailer. That's how God works. When I got saved, I had food stamps. Within 1 year, I was off government assistance and I was taking them in and providing a service for them, right? It is not supposed to be a lifestyle. It is supposed to be a supplement. What does supplement mean? EBT SNAP supplement. A supplement is to add to, is to replace something you didn't have. It's not to buy all your groceries. It's not to get your kid candy for Halloween or cake for the classroom snack. That's not what food stamps were ever supposed to be.
Next month's food stamps because of the government shutdown.
Local leaders are now scrambling to provide people with resources. Eyewitness News reporter Madison Weil live in Burbank with the resources that will soon be available.
John, Rachel, it's day 29 of the government shutdown, and a lot of families are anxious about how they're going to put food on the table if they lose their SNAP benefits. We know that about 1.5 million people here in Los Angeles depend on those benefits, and more than 5 million people statewide. If the government shutdown continues, those benefits could run out by this Saturday, November 1st. New this week, President Trump has signaled his administration may find a solution to help fund SNAP, saying, quote, "We're going to get this done." However, the president hasn't provided details on how. His administration has blamed the shutdown and the potential loss of food assistance benefits on Senate Democrats. Democratic leadership pushing back.
The president has the ability to use a contingency fund for SNAP and food benefits, but they have decided instead of using that fund, they're just going to try to inflict as much pain as possible on Americans across the country.
One lady that
This is obviously California. So immediately they want us to take $6 billion that's in a contingency fund. Do you know what contingencies for, friends? It's for like unexpected things, and put that into food when we know, regardless of what they try to tell you, that closer to 40% of food stamp recipients are non-citizens and illegal aliens. They want us to use 6 billion when it's going to cost 8 billion for just November. Well, that's like putting Play-Doh to plug a hole in a sinking ship. It's not going to hold. Why would you waste your time?
Today, she's a double amputee that was here today, and she told me, she said, Pastor, I don't know what I'm going to do. I said, don't worry about it. We got you.
As we approach Saturday's deadline, we're told at least one local police department will be stepping up patrols at grocery stores. That's happening in Barstow. We also know the LA Regional Food Bank is gearing up for a significant spike in demand. The county rapidly funding $10 million to help the food bank and its partners. Also, LA Care Health Plan is providing up to $5.4 million in nutrition support to help low-income residents. We're told they'll be distributing grocery gift cards and fresh food countywide. Anyone facing food insecurity can find resources at lafoodbank.com/findfood or simply by calling 211. And there you can also learn how you can donate or volunteer. I can tell you in the last.
And let me make this clear to you guys. I saw several people write in the comments, well, the churches should step up. Can we go back and visit tithing again? How are churches supposed to step in and help in this moment when nobody will give churches the money it's going to take to keep the church open? It can't be both ways. See, I tithe to my church. I also grew all food these last 2 years and gave it away for free to my community. We ran a program. A lot of you wrote in that. Go us. We fed a lot of people. You and I did already before this happened. I have donated my time and my energy to a local food bank. How much more am I supposed to do? Because I do pay taxes also. I just think that people expecting churches to step in and constantly give out money that they don't have is kind of hypocritical. Like if all Christians, both rich and poor, would tithe, churches would then have a surplus to help. It can't be both ways. That's all I'm saying. You may agree, you may disagree, but if you disagree with tithing, then please don't say churches owe the community anything, because somehow, folks, they have to be able to pay for the building and everything else.
Can't go get a job, bro? Roll the clip.
I got an email from EBT. I used to get $740 a month for my 2 kids. And we're not getting EBT no more. They took the EBT. They saying I got to work 20 hours a week. I'm not working for nobody. Get the fuck out of here. This is what Americans, taxpayer, work for us. They work for me. They got to help me feed my fucking kids. Get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be quitters now. Y'all been helping us all this time. Now y'all want to tap out. Get the fuck out of here. I want my EBT, yo. I want my EBT, and I'm not working for nobody. I'm a boss. What the fuck I look like working when the government is here to help? Come on. Y'all send all that money to Iraq, Ukraine. Y'all funding all these wars, but when
it's got to be a parody. It has to be. Nobody's that ignorant. But if you guys think that's real, let me know. If you've seen that guy on TikTok and it's a for real thing, please comment and let me know.
They get stupider. Roll clip.
Donald Marchman J. Trump. I'm going to tell you just like this. What the fuck you mean? Who ain't getting that goddamn food stamps in November? Because I'm getting my. I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm getting my. Because I'm going to tell you just like this on Jesus Lamar Christ. I will be at Walmart with my steel toes on and my helmet, and I dare a try to stop me from walking out that store with my groceries. Baby,
Which, by the way, several stores in these inner cities are closing the interior of the store. Everything is curbside. You have to go on the app, pick your food, pay for it, pull up, and they'll load your car up. They're already one step ahead of your steel toe shoes and your ugly helmet. But let me make this point. They got the wigs, they got the eyelashes, they got the tattoos and the new clothes and all their jewelry and the nails and the eyebrows. But you don't have food money? I wear the same clothes in all of my videos. I just rotate them out. You know why? Because I don't have debt, but I don't blow money either. See, I went grocery shopping today instead of clothes shopping. Can I get an amen? I went and picked up food instead of got my little nails did. Yeah, it's called growing up, and it's time that we do cut this umbilical cord. If you are middle aged, great. You got kids, good. They in public school because I'm already feeding them in public school, breakfast and lunch. Let's get real with this, friends. Then they got summer programs. I got to feed your kid breakfast and lunch during the summer because for some reason, even though you get EBT, you can't seem to possibly do that too. I raised 4 children. I birthed 4 kids. They never got food stamps. I'm not here to raise other people's kids. Now, let's talk about these children who are in the states ward, like my god baby. Yes, she should get food stamps for him because she took him from going into foster care. Absolutely, he should get food stamps. No doubt about it. No question. This is the one that gets me, and a lot of people don't talk about this. Elderly people have to pay for their insurance every month, whether it's $50 or $250. You have to pay for your own insurance. Then you got to pay a copay on your medicine, a copay to see the doctor, a copay for procedures, and you pay taxes out of your SSI. And then your benefits on SNAP get reduced. If you get a $5 a year raise on your SSI, they're going to take $15 away in food stamps. Yet, that girl you just saw and the guy before her and all the people of all colors, shapes, and sizes complaining about food stamps are all young enough and able-bodied enough to go get a job. The elderly are who I'm worried about. Check on the elderly people around you. The schools will take care of the kids.
He has to say about it. Nieces and nephews, if a news station comes up to you and they want to interview about losing your SNAP benefits, decline the interview. If I see you on a news station, I'm going to find you and we're going to have us a good old come to Jesus moment with Auntie. They are using us. They want to make the narrative that Black people are so worried about losing SNAP benefits, like we're the ones who get the most in SNAP benefits, and we're not. White women are. And the people who are going to crash out when November 1st happens and they can't swipe their card and it says insufficient funds on their cards are going to be the white folk, not the Black folk, because we're used to struggling. We used to struggle. We used to going to the church and getting food. We used to having community and people having a garden and showing up and making sure that families don't go without. These other people ain't used to that. They're not about that life. So they're going to be the ones, not to saying that we ain't going to hurt, but we know how to navigate these waters.
You don't see how they have separated America so much. She honestly believes that white people don't know how to grow food, that we don't have church get-togethers, and that our white churches don't have food banks. She honestly believes it's going to be white people spinning out when they swipe that EBT card and it's insufficient funds. The only thing I agreed with her is stop letting them use you as rage bait. Black and white people, that's for you. But the disconnect between both white and Black is insane. Black people have an image of white people that's so far from the truth, and you white people have an image of Black people that's so far from the truth. I got white and Black neighbors. I can go knock on any door and they all gonna feed me.
Translation, they're about ready to risk jail time for Pop-Tarts. Today, we're diving into the meltdown, the entitlement, the chaos, and the absolutely unhinged logic behind people justifying shoplifting just because the government might delay their benefits for a few weeks. Buckle up, because this one is equal parts tragic and TikTok gold.
Me sitting here stressing myself out, wondering, like, the government shut down. It's October the 1st. We're not going to get our food stamps. What are we going to do? I'm just going to have to go out there and pick some cotton because the government shut down and my EBT card is not going to be working this month. And oh, Jesus. Oh, Elizabeth. The government shut down. I'm not going to get my food stamp this fucking month. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. I'm not going to get my fucking food stamp.
So y'all mean to tell me that we may not be getting our food stamps in the month of November because the government is shut down? We may not be getting our food stamps for Thanksgiving? What the Bitch, this better be a fucking joke.
Did you hear what's going on with Trump and them? Apparently, they shut down November and December food stamp. I just got a note from them say they're going to shut my food stamps. Ohio, you bet not. You bet.
Okay, this is the one that gets me. Let me point this out. Y'all know how much black girls paid to get all this did on this hair? That's a wig she's wearing. But all this at the top, it's hundreds of dollars. She got fake nails. She got fake eyelashes. She just recently got her eyebrows done. I go to the hair salon twice in a year, every 6 months. I go get my eyebrows done. I get my hair done and cut. I spend less than $250 in a year. She spends that in a month, and she gets food stamps and I don't. So you tell me honestly how you feeling about funding food stamps. In a way, I wish they would end it.
I'm not feeding that allegation. You better pay me my food stamps. I better get my food stamps. How am I supposed to feed my family? How? How am I supposed to take care of my children, my mother? How? How?
Okay, before we go any further, I just want to make it perfectly clear that I am extremely concerned for these people not being able to feed their children. I am. Because children do not ask to be born, and children do not ask to be born in the families that they are born into. They are completely helpless when it comes to being fed. They rely on their parents to feed them, to provide.
And I agree with that. Again, she could take the money she's using on the fake hair, the fake eyelashes, the fake nails, and buy food, friends and family. This is where your sympathy for people is going to hurt them, not help them. God didn't tell me to feel sorry for people. He told me to have empathy, to walk in their shoes, to understand. I've been where that woman is. Because when I was getting my EBT card, instead of spending it on my hair, my nails, my eyelashes, I'm spending it on dope. But a lot of people could afford food if they just cut something else out. For the ones of us who get no benefits of any type, every day we make decisions, don't we? I'm going to say a little hungry for the next 15 minutes rather than stopping there and spending $30 because I got a bill to pay tomorrow. So I'm just going to stay hungry till I get home like an adult and feed myself. I am not going to go shopping and buy a new wardrobe every 6 months because I actually have to pay the rent or I actually have to pay my own electric bill. This is a problem with Americans. They are not that poor. They have money for what they want to have money for. I see people buy all this crap with their food stamp card, turn around, go pay cash for the beer and the cigarettes. That is a reality. I'm not saying you can't smoke or you can't drink, But I'm saying if you're going to smoke and drink, don't ask for me to buy your food. Because essentially, food stamps don't come from Ohio. They come from the federal government, which is funded by who, friends and family? You and me.
For them. And I'm just going to come out and say it. I don't think all parents do a good job. I know for a fact all parents don't do a good job. I've seen it. And so my heart is absolutely broken for these children that might be eating crackers for dinner or nothing at all, because it's not their fault. It's the result of having irresponsible parents. All of that being said, I also feel the need to state again that I have been on food stamps twice in my life. I probably mention this almost every single food stamp video I do. I have been on food stamps twice in my life. I know what it's like to be on food stamps. But what I don't understand is how people blow their food stamps, just always assuming it's going to be there at the next month. When I was on food stamps, I made that shit stretch, because I was always worried about relying on the government to load that EBT card. I was always shopping sales. I was always buying extras, so there was plenty of food in the house. Before I started receiving food stamps for the first time, our home was very, very food insecure. We were visiting food banks. We had nothing. So the minute we started receiving food stamps, I started stockpiling food. I started purposefully shopping for the cheapest food that I could buy and stockpiling shelf-stable goods, because I never ever wanted to be food insecure again. It was terrifying, especially when you have children. So I just don't understand the logic of parents that have children blowing every single dollar of food stamps that they have and not having reserves in their cabinets. I don't understand the logic. What is happening with food stamp benefits right now should be a massive wake-up call for any sort of public assistance recipient, that it could be cut off like that.
Hell, Thanksgiving's around the corner, the holidays. I'm finna go steal everything. Everything. I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. Free me. Cause guess what? I'm locked up. They won't let me out.
Any parent who is advocating for stealing food, or any person that steals during this for food, should go to jail. If you're a school teacher or a neighbor and you're noticing kids are not being fed during this, turn those parents into OCS. I'm not necessarily a fan of OCS, but don't you dare let a child starve with a parent like that, friends and family. Or worst case, better case scenario, feed them yourself. Don't feed that mama. She's a little thick anyway. This is where we're at. And I agree with the woman that was just speaking. When I received food stamps, though I spent my money on dope, I still received food stamps. I stockpiled. And when my husband and I finally got to where we weren't broke at the end of every time we paid every bill, we still had a little money, I sort of put it in reserves. I have a 3-month reserve of flour, rice, sugar, salt, canned milk, the things that I need to scratch cook in a pinch. I raise chickens, I raise rabbits. I've stockpiled some meat. Do you see what I'm saying? America, listen to me. He who controls the food controls the people. The Bible tells you in the end, if you don't have the mark, you will not be able to buy or to sell. Now, for us Christians, we're waiting on a rapture, right? Some of you may not agree. We did a video on it yesterday. Go watch that. Don't debate me right now. We're talking about food stamps. What I'm saying is, you don't really know timelines of things past a few in stone stuff. Any American that is not stockpiling, where have you been since COVID? There are food banks in states like Washington that if you're white, they won't give you food because it's for BIPOC. Find me one food bank in this country that won't give it to brown or black people. That's what you're living in. So I understand this food security with the black and brown communities, but right now I'm speaking to the white people, my shade of people. You'd better be prepared to protect and to eat, because you'll be the last one they help. I have great belief that humanity can come together, but I also know that we've been separated for so long that it may not be a reality. Maybe inside your community, you've got friends that are going to help you and they don't look at color, but in the scheme of things, there's too much difference in this country right now. You've got groups of Somalians that would let you starve. They'd let the Black people starve too. So that's what I'm saying. They are going to group up. Me, I don't do groups really well. I'm going to take care of myself because I'm a big girl. I'm telling you guys now, get prepared. I don't care. You might be Hispanic, you might be white, you might be Black, you might be Christian, you might be atheist. There's nothing wrong with having people that have your back, but the tribal mentality shows a lack of adult thinking, of critical thinking, and of humanity. Because here's the thing, we have let politics and people in the news separate us. I'm not going to let any child starve. Most of you already know that. I'm not going to let any elderly person starve. But if I look at you and you're able-bodied, you're not going to get much comfort from me. And when the Bible says widow, let me clarify this for everybody. A real widow, by biblical standards, by Hebrew standards, is a woman that has no husband and no children, no male children, no husband, no father, no male children. She's a true widow in the world alone, without someone that can help take care of her. That is a real widow. In America, we see any woman that's lost her husband as a widow. And technically you are by legal standards, but by biblical standards, when people say we have to take care of the children and the widows, God's saying find that woman who doesn't have any children to help support their mother. At some point, families are going to have to get back like the Bible wants us to be. I hope that made sense. This is a hard subject. There's going to be a lot of heartbreak, but this is the beginning of birthing pains, of the falling apart of this country. Because I told you guys yesterday, I'm going to do a video later today for y'all on what happened with this J.D. Vance and Erica Kirk nonsense at Ole Miss. A lot of us are not going to vote for him or her on a ticket together. So this may be the last period of time that Republicans are in power for a minute. Really think that through, friends. This is a turning point in this country. And for us Christians, we already know what's fixing to happen. Don't ever let anything be held over your head. If you're a food stamp recipient, let this be a lesson. Be wiser with spending it. Always leave money for the next month. Because friends and family, you just don't know. There is no guarantee, except we're all going to die and face judgment and taxes, right? I love you guys so much. Like, comment, subscribe. Please share this video. We need to get the truth of what is happening out there. Americans, Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, it doesn't matter. We are not enemies. We have more alike than we have different. Thank you for your time.